feel like our shows are starting to get more and more of a really rhythm. And every time I say that, I always enter with the wrong screen on. So I do apologize. We're still amateur hour a bit, but the clock's starting to move on these podcasts, and our flow is getting better. I never know how to introduce these shows, anyways. So Gov and Donnie are with me, but I actually asked for the first 10 minutes to talk about something I found very important that I didn't think was going to be important. In fact, um, so the NBA Hall of Fame happened, right? And Kobe is never going to be, inducted. And then Shaq, I thought, well, once Shaq goes through, once on some of these Lakers, we saw Phil, Michael, like, I'm an old guy now. Like, okay, I don't think the Hall of Fame can really have that big of an impact on me. Like, a lot of my basketball heroes kind of passed through. And then something really pissed me off, to be honest, for a couple of reasons, but like a good kind of pissed off. Um, I I knew Paul Gasol would go into the Hall of Fame, and I knew he'd talk about Kobe, and I knew there'd be a lot to talk on the Spurs going in together. By the way, Greg Popovich and Tony Parker were the first coach and player to be inducted in the same year and gave Hall of Fame speeches in the same class. So that was cool. But Donnie knows this as well because he's known me for a long time. Becky Hammond has been one of my favorite, like, up and coming potential coaches um, for a long time, and it's because I watched her primarily with the San Antonio Stars when they were there with the WNBA. She came out the year I graduated high school in 2007, probably the peak of my, like, I don't have any jobs, I don't have any responsibilities, I can just, like, gorge on basketball. And she was an undrafted, gritty basketball player that went undrafted, like, and became a Hall of Famer in the Naismith Hall of Fame. Like that. I get that WNBA and NBA are different, but like the fact that she went undrafted, got to choose her team basically as a free agent, and then is in the Hall of Fame, had the coaching impact that she's had as a woman, was able to convince a bunch of grown men, which you can say is no big deal, and maybe it shouldn't be, and maybe that's. In fact, I'll be honest with you. It's annoying to have to mention it. It really is. It irks me to have to mention it. But on the flip side, there was players that said I wouldn't listen to her if she was my coach. Like, there's a reason she hasn't been given a job, which is what it is. I mean, like I say, it irks me, but you can have your own opinion. What I found so annoyingly great about it, though, was when Paul Gasol was up there, guys. He, of course, mentioned the Kobe, which we all knew was going to happen. And he said, I wouldn't have won a championship without Kobe Bryant. And, of course, the crowd pops in this big moment and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, damn it, that pisses me off. And I'm the biggest Kobe fan there is. But Kobe wouldn't have won that championship without Paul Gasol. Paul Gasol is one of the few that actually has Olympic pedigree and NBA pedigree. Everyone knew, like, he had that Kevin Garnett kind of background where it's like he was stuck on a bad team for a long time. That Lakers team would not have been as good without Paul Gasol on it. And like the fact that he has to mention Kobe as like, oh, I was the Robin. No. Kobe wouldn't have won that championship without Paul Gasol. Wouldn't have done it. And like I said, I'm the biggest Kobe fan there is. I'm not, just because the man's dead, I'm not going to say like, oh, he was the greatest basketball player to ever live. Paul Gasol changed Kobe Bryant for the betterment. And in that speech, Kobe went to see Paul Gasol 1 a.m. and said, like, I don't do this, when we trade players that often. And like, I don't do this at all. I just want you to be ready because you're on a winning team now and we're going to win. And like, they both acknowledged it. And so like, it was just sad to me that like so much focus was on like what Paul Gasol will say at his Hall of Fame speech about Kobe. And we all know he loves Vanessa and he loves the Bryant family. And like, I'm the biggest Kobe fan there is. It just annoys me that we have to go there on Paul's night because I want to be clear, as like a true Lakers fan, Paul Gasol is the reason Kobe had the success that he had at the end. Like he is. And Donnie, you're a Celtics fan. You can speak to it. Paul Gasol changed the Lakers.
Yeah, but we all acknowledge that Kobe was the best player on that team.
He was, but it just annoys me that like Paul Gasol got kind of overshadowed by Kobe again. And I know it would piss off Kobe. Like it would because I've watched tons of documentaries about it. I've even watched interviews, weeks before his death, where he mentioned like he said I wanted Chris Paul first, and the Chris Paul trade didn't go through. I don't think Chris Paul would have worked in Los Angeles. I would have liked to see it. I don't think it would have worked. Paul Gasol is better.
Are a definitive Chris Paul
for good reason.
Disbeliever.
Yeah, hell yeah, I am. He is the
I'm
most
not going to use the word hater. I don't like the word hater in that
He's situation. The most overrated Hall of Famer there will be in the NBA.
That is such a wild. Well, I can't even try to talk about that because we'll just continually disagree.
He will be a Hall of Famer.
There's no solution to that conversation that we would.
No, and I was just going to say that too. You can have your opinion on it. But I'm just saying, like, it annoys me that we can't like appreciate people, and even when like Dirk Nowitzki, for example, appreciated Michael Finley, and then like I think people were like, oh yeah, they were teammates. Like, no. So my lesson to everyone here is just focus on team building. We do lineup builds. I do the podcast with my three friends here. I don't think I'm any better than Gov, Donnie, or the rest. And like, I don't like it when we think like, oh, this guy has to be a star. That's also why I don't rank either. I love discussions. I love debates. Like me and Donnie will always have that Chris Paul debate. But we don't need to rank it. Like I know Chris Paul belongs in the Hall of Fame, but I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, he's the 15th best player. I don't like that kind of stuff. So Gov, anything that you had for the weekend? Any takeaways? It could be basketball related, non-basketball. Like that was just mine.
No, not really. Like I am just sort of like I'm slowly doing some best ball drafts, so that's the main thing I'm focusing on. I'm trying to get those done before the end of the season. I've got other season-long leagues that are going to be drafted in the next week or two before the start of the season. So I'm basically just sort of like coasting into that and taking a pseudo break here. I'm still playing baseball, so I'm still playing DFS every day, but I'm not taking as much time to focus. I'm not putting as much into it. My bankroll is very small right now. I'm leaving that money out of DraftKings until football season starts.
See, I'm doing kind of the opposite, but I want to get to Donnie's point because it kind of correlates to that team versus story kind of correlation, Donnie, and like how both things can exist. We saw a really cool team correlation this week. DeMar Hamlin came back for the Buffalo Bills. What do you think that meant? Because I know you wanted to hit on it at the start of the show. Like, what do you think that meant for the team, the NFL? Like, I know it was a big moment.
I think for the Bills, the medical staff probably especially, the fans of Buffalo, just everyone who enjoys sports, there's a big moment. As a team, it might give you a little bit of morale, for a couple weeks, but it's going to die down, and it doesn't affect the Bills' chances of winning a Super Bowl. So I don't know why it's like we've been putting this under a microscope for weeks. Like, oh, DeMar Hamlin's going to play, DeMar Hamlin, and then like I don't know why it was so hyped up because we knew he was coming back for months now. We've known he was coming back. So I never really understood why it was the biggest of deals. Like, I'm sure he doesn't want the constant reminder of, oh yeah, I'm the guy who died on the field. So
Yeah. Donnie, I got an interesting question though. Like, what do you think he thinks about his comeback player of the year odds?
I don't think he cares. I don't think anybody should care about the awards. Like, personally, I don't think any of these awards. What he should be,
especially when it comes to comeback player of the year, they're
I
just
agree.
trying to get on the field and play well. I don't think they care or are focusing on I can be comeback player of the year.
If he's a Buffalo Bill, what is he focused on right now? Getting over the hump finally. That's all he cares about.
Yeah.
Or that's all he should care about. He shouldn't care about comeback player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it would be a nice, cherry on top, but that's not the goal. That's not the ice cream.
I knew who he was before the injury, but there was a lot of people that didn't know who he was. And they're not to be villainized or blamed or shamed. Maybe they just weren't big football fans. Because, let's be honest, he wasn't a Hall of Famer. It wasn't like he was just a young man, hungry. He actually had a really good story. Grew up in, like, I believe, Pittsburgh in that kind of, like, Rust Belt area, and, like, wanted to stay close to home because his younger brother was going to college. So, like, he had, like, a good story, but, like, he hadn't done anything yet, but he was still young enough where it's like he could. He was making that, like, special teams kind of leap, and then started, some of these games and started to show some athleticism. I bring up that to say, like, that development was good. He was on a good track. Like, he wasn't like, didn't have a ton of expectation on him, but he was like growing and developing, and that's the kind of stuff I like. Like, I like a guy from the Detroit Lions named Jerry Jacobs, very similar. Like, grinded, found a way on the team. Now the team traded away Jeff Okudah, and Jerry Jacobs is going to be, projected to be a starter. That's the kind of Hamlin type progression.
Micah Hyde's contract ends this year, so maybe he is going to take over Micah Hyde's role. But
yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, I'm not cheering against him or any more for him. I'm cheering for football, and I love that development story. I just think we kind of robbed the young man. I mean, I'll be honest, I just do. Like, the Bills should be good, and we should be celebrating the Bills. But unfortunately, no matter what the Bills do, if Hamlin even has a modicum of a good game and the Bills win, we're going to hear about it until that like Cinderella story. And Sheen is off of it, but the Sheen is that he survived. Like, I'm friends with, Gov might remember, we brought on Ryan about a month ago to talk about baseball. His brother actually works for the medical team. So it was very personal for him. He was actually at the ESPYs, got there. And so, like, that means something to them as well. I can say that personally. I know that, like, just to see him walk and to, like, see him play again. But now it's going to be like, oh, okay, this was the guy. Now we need to make a Disney movie out of it, And that's the kind of sad part.
Yeah, here's the thing. It would be a bigger deal if Damar Hamlin had a 7-tackle, 1-interception game than if Josh Allen had a 500-yard, 3-touchdown game.
And that's unfair.
I definitively believe that.
Yeah, and that's unfair to Josh Allen and Hamlin. I think he would admit that. Like, I'll be pissed if that happens as a fan.
It's a very likely thing to happen. Like, if you really think that's not unrealistic to happen, Josh Allen having 500 yards is not crazy. 3 touchdowns, obviously, we expect that a couple times a year from Allen.
Yeah,
but Hamlin needs one game where he has not like 7 tackles and 9 interceptions, really good, but it's not
right.
Like, it's not crazy.
Donnie, I would compare it to this. I would compare it to like if a child was or felt the need to support their family because they needed extra money, and like the kids have to go to work kind of scenario. So like the kids contribute to the food and like that's awesome. They would have that maturity and like that kind of like ownership, or like, I'm going to take care of the family. I'm going to make sure there's food on the table. That's awesome. But if like the parents said like, oh, we expect Johnny to work at age 11 at McDonald's so we can eat tonight, that kind of gives you a different perspective. And that's the thing. It's like, I'm cheering for Hamlin to play again. I just don't want it to be like, oh, the story takes over the performance, if you will.
to be honest, there's a few very rare exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
I want most of these players to succeed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, but if DeMar Hamlin fades away in the next 3 to 4 years, it's not going to change anything for me. If DeMar Hamlin turns into a Hall of Famer, that's awesome. If he doesn't, and he just, he's rotational guy for a couple more years and then he's out the league, then that's still a good career and it's something to be proud of. So, I don't know.
You guys make my day better. Truly. You do. I wouldn't have known you without, a silly Discord channel and fantasy football. So like this is our connective tissue. So this is cool. This is like our performance, right? This is like our football game. But like that's what Hamlin probably wants to get back to. He wants to get back to that camaraderie, that like, hey, I get to share a locker room with Josh Allen. I get to share a locker room with this defense, with these coaches, and do what I love. Say what?
With Super Bowl aspirations, the pinnacle of his goal. I mean,
right. But I don't think he would want you to like pick up a Disney pin and be like, oh, the Bills have to make like we're not trying to build a conspiracy, but the media would love it. So I don't know. It's a weird thing for me. Gov, any thoughts?
Like, it's going to be more of a blown out story than it needs to be, honestly.
That's how
it already is.
Yeah, that's the thing. It already is.
I know. Like,
it's only going to get worse. Wait till his first regular season snap.
Yeah, they'll probably mention it, but like, when is that going to be? He wasn't a regular starter.
Yeah. Yeah, but he was a impactful situational guy. Like if it was NBA, I would say he was a sixth man.
No, he's an important part of that defense. He's a great,
He really was.
There's two aging safeties in that defense.
Mm-hmm.
He's a perfect spell guy.
He reminds me of who's that kid out of Texas that played with the Saints for a while? Kenny Vaccaro.
Oh, Vaccaro was a Pro Bowler though, like a real Pro Bowler.
Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's at his high end. That's what I seen him. But I saw that progression. But that's kind of what it was. It was progression. And to Gov's point now we're like, oh, he's got to be something else, and he can't just be what he was. And that's the sad part. Is like, and I think to speak about it larger and to like not give the wrong attention or do whatever every other podcast is going to do and be like rah rah. That's the problem with ESPN right now. But to bring it back to gambling, I think like they're grasping at straws to get attention and go, where you just and you and me, you drafting guys, you admitted before the show, you're taking a kind of a sabbatical from the daily.
I'm lightening my load, yeah.
Which is cool, and I want to get into that if you guys are ready, because I do think like that's a topic that doesn't get talked about at the start of the NFL like admiration. Is everyone's like, oh, best ball, look at my best ball team, or average draft position is this, or break down my dynasty team. It's okay to be like, I'm very excited for football in 3 weeks, but I need that 3 weeks to prepare. Like, I'm very excited to see what, the Lions could be in week 1, but I'm not ready to marry them yet. I do think that's important for bankroll management and just like a good message to send to the people before we kind of ramp up. So if you want to speak on that, Gov, or Donnie, I can do that as well. But I love your insight on these type of things. Go, why did you choose to do that?
I've honestly just been like this year has been, no lie, probably one of my worst DFS years since I've started like playing regularly, multiple sports. So like a massive downswing combined with the fact that, and Logan, you can sort of attest to this, like I've really been grinding like hard for like 2.5 years. And so it's just at that point where it's like, it's really starting to wear. Now, would a massive hit just completely flip that? Probably. But this is what the downswings are. So, like, I'm going to try to get through this downswing as best I can, and hopefully the start of football season helps. I'm basically just like, that's why one of the reasons why I like Rainmakers. I've already invested what I'm doing in that, so it's just throw my cards in contests and sort of like lightly think about it. Think about the games more than thinking about building like lineup construction in and of itself.
That makes perfect sense to me because then you can think about your investments from a short term. Hey, I hope week 1 my cards do well. The short term, right? But you're also thinking,
well, like right now, like I'm trying to grind the preseason, so it's like short term. Who should I go after? What should I go after? Where should I put cards to go after guys? It's like okay, and as I slowly build that up,
How much do you pay for Malik Cunningham?
yeah, but
get your no shit up.
Shit needs to stop.
Dip. A fatal error has occurred.
Well, I mean, that's the problem is like these projection models give the people this like confidence that like even I can build a preseason, lineup or that you have to play. Like me and Donnie played the other day just because I had the time, and I'm like, it will be a good conversational piece for me and him to have like a sit down. Like essentially, if me and Donnie lived in the same city and like he wanted to chill after work, we might go see a movie or we might go to like have a drink, but we don't. And our connection has always been online through video games or different, fantasy realities around sports. So that's what we did. It was fun. And we had a chance to win. If we would have went Cunningham, and a lot of which we debated on that show live, by the way.
We debated a Patriots quarterback, just not the right one.
Right. I was going to play Cunningham if I played one. You wanted to, but like that's the fun for me is like to get together with you guys as well and like to make it a group experience. Like part of having Red Zone this year is like having it with my friend and being like, he hasn't watched as much football as I did last year because he couldn't. He started a new job. Well, the NFL package for him is going to be unique because he can go back and watch old games. Now, this old dog doesn't like to go back and watch old games. Like I like to have that live experience. But I will watch probably 6 or 7 games, at a time or flip back and forth or watch, to see if Scott Hansen takes a pee on the Red Zone channel. That's just what I will do. Like I've always been that type of guy. And like I think it's okay, Gov, to be like, hey, I don't grind DFS lineups the same way anymore. And that's okay. Now I want to sweat the Cleveland Browns because my dad's a fan. Or I want to jump into a Discord channel and shoot the shit with my friends. And like football is important still but now it's the ambiance. It's the restaurant to what you enjoy. That's okay. Maybe it's in the back seat now, but in an hour or 2 weeks from now, you switch spots and you're the driver, and those things are taking the back seat. So like, I think that's life. And I think that's a beautiful part about life. Donnie, any thoughts? Because you're just getting into it. So I think like you have a different lens or a different way to clean the palate almost.
See, I don't love preseason. I just feel like there's too many question marks. But we just did it for fun, a random lineup.
Yeah.
And we were able to. I enjoyed a preseason game more than I have in a while because of it. Now, what would you after the first game ended and we saw Cunningham? That was when the lineup died, pretty much.
No, because I thought Hall could still match it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And that was based on playing time. Like I said, it's not even that you like players in preseason. Just to give people a quick strategy, it's like if they touch the ball, if they're the point guard, you know they're going to get a lot of minutes. You play them. That's kind of the strategy in basketball. Like if you're going to get minutes in DFS basketball, you play them, and that's what you're basically doing for preseason football.
So I don't know. I don't love it because I don't want to sit there and study all the third and fourth guy rotation wise and who's going to be in.
Yeah. Well, let's get deeper on this, Donnie. Then what do you do as like a guy who went through it the first year, but you kind of rode our wave and like had fun with it. Like, oh, Gov told me in week 2, running backs are popular. So I'm going to listen to him. I'm going to take it in. And then like, I'll slowly start to figure this out. Now that you've done it, like, and you get a full off season, essentially, like your rookie year is done. And I mean that kind of tongue in cheekly, but like it's true in DFS even. Like now you're a veteran. So like, how does your process change? Does it, like, what are you looking forward to?
I'm just, I want to build lineups with you guys. That's what I enjoy the most. Like football for me has turned into, I love watching the sport, but the pre build up to that weekend where we're building lineups, that's where it's the most fun at this point right now. Because it's just, there's so much going on. There's, there's 3 guys. Essentially, we're debating things, but we're not, doing it the typical way. We're all being very respectful of each other's opinions. So I don't know. That's an hour just to kill talking about football it's so valuable in my opinion.
It is a good thing. Like that's what I'm going to like is us getting back to a good like Friday night discussion of the slate and building our lineup.
But isn't it like so awesome as well, Gov, is like we get together on the Discord channel or like with Donnie and these podcasts, but then we end up talking about like our work day. And like it might not seem like that's obviously not the reason we're there, but like even that 5 minutes of being like, oh, you had a bad day at work, Donnie? So did I. Oh, you had a birthday? Like, oh, my nephew had a birthday 3 weeks ago. And like you see that it's almost like stacking in DFS. Like you see little ways to like just like relate and correlate. And like I just find that stuff really interesting for me. So like even you taking time away, Gavin, like toning it down, like I know that's going to be good because I'll tell you, and I know we were raw, but even if you go back and listen to our DFS strategy guide from last year, you were dropping nuggets. Like you know what you're doing, and so like when you need to take a break, that's so valuable.
I mean, the worst thing you can end up doing in this whole environment is chasing.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely the worst thing you can do.
And the way you chase is like starting to go around in circles and overthinking stuff. So like that's why I wanted to like get my mind ready for football.
Exactly. It's the perfect time, honestly.
Well, I do like that they like this is sort of like good that they only have 3 preseason games and everyone gets that full extra week in between.
Well, let me show you an example. Like you could easily look at week 1, right, and be a hardcore grinder and be like, oh, I gotta adjust to the news, and be like, oh, I don't think Joe Burrow is gonna play. They said his knee, the offensive line's terrible. I'm gonna play, Trevor Siemian, and then you build a whole lineup with this really cheap quarterback, Trevor Siemian, and you stack it. You're like, I'm gonna get Chase. And then you're like, oh, Joe Burrow's playing. He's fine. And then it's like, if this exercise, putting Chase in there, if that's helping you get to where you want to go for week 1, by all means do it. Like it might be. It might help you because you might think like, does Trevor Siemian throw to David Njoku more than he throws to Cooper? And like that information is still valuable come week 1, even if the quarterback changes. But like, don't overreact just because lineups are out there. That's what DraftKings wants you to do, and they want you to be like, oh, I normally play $5 on daily fantasy, but I built so many different iterations because I didn't know what to do with my time that I now kind of overwent the pale. What's like one thing about week one that you think like could be valuable from a strategic standpoint? Or is it just that to stay away, to like refresh, do something else, play a different game, or even just do something entirely away from sports? Is that the takeaway?
See, I think it can be different for everyone, honestly.
Yeah.
Like with me, like I said, like I've toned it down. I'm not taking a full-on break. Some people might need to take a full-on break. I've just sort of been like, I'm not 20 maxing MLB. I'm not doing any kind of extra research. I come in hour before the slate, find a good single entry, build a lineup. Which honestly was what I was doing for a lot of the end of NBA season. And again, it hasn't been going well. So like maybe there's something I need to look at where I should maybe focus on the smaller dollar 20 maxes and get my 20 maxes built as opposed to trying to play the single entries.
Makes sense.
Like maybe that's something I should look at. Because 20 maxing NBA Showdown and NFL Showdown was working fine.
Yeah.
But then I was also trying to get the single entries in, and that might have been the mistake. Or maybe there wasn't a mistake, and I'm about to hit one of these single entries and be fine.
So what's a way for you to have more fun next year where you can grind less but have more fun? Like, what does that look like for you?
I honestly don't know a road path like that because I was still having fun this year. It's just the grind and the fact that I was like, I never had the big hit this year. Last year was pretty damn good. I had probably 4 or 5 good hits. This year I haven't had one, and we're almost at football. I had like 4 before football last year.
Maybe you're just in line for the greatest football season of your life.
Could be. Millie incoming week 1. Or maybe I'll have a great, like one of these $3 play action best balls. I may have a really good one in there. Who knows?
I'm going to challenge this
Drafted
idea.
A hell of a one today on stream where I got sniped by from round 7 to 10, I got sniped by the dude before me, taking every dude I wanted, completely uncorrelated, 12 picks ahead of ADP.
And what if it works out?
I don't know if a Deshaun Watson stack where I couldn't get anyone except Peoples-Jones, and then me having Amon-Ra and Montgomery with no other Dallas or Detroit or Goff or Dak.
It's true. But can I give
and then Mixon is basically my only running back other than him and Montgomery, and then it's a bunch of like rookies and I had to take a shot on Trey Lance as my other quarterback in that lineup. Because they have one dude has 5 quarterbacks in this league.
Yeah.
Like I was in a best ball draft. The dude took 5 quarterbacks. He has Lawrence, Baker, Ritter.
Okay. Gov, let me give you some excitement at least here.
I have Debo and Mitchell, but I couldn't get Purdy. I had so many. I have Freiermuth and Pickens, and someone took Pickett right before me.
Hey, everyone was drafting Trey Lance way too high last year. It didn't work out.
I'm getting him as the last pick in the draft.
That's what I'm saying. What if this year is the year? I know it doesn't look like it, but if it is,
there's no reason healthy with what they saw, he shouldn't be able to beat out Brock Purdy.
Exactly. So as a late round pick with the rushing upside, with basically his rookie year, you're not even getting Richardson at that point. You're not getting, I like the ADP there, and without it getting uncomfortable for you, Gov, you probably wouldn't have went there. So sometimes the best ball, the fun of best ball is getting uncomfortable. It is misclicking.
Yeah, it is DraftKings.
It's DraftKings. It's horrible.
Perks.
Seriously, that is. To correlate that back to what we've been talking about, though, there's the performance of what we wanted to have happen, and there's the story. And the story is going to be so fun to watch this year because we have a full show on it. People can go back and watch the true reaction that we had. And then we built some fun concept around it, like once we kind of died down. And that's what true friendship and like bonding is. But to your point, Gov, is like you don't really know, but I can even give you a strategy where that Watson strategy is a good one because if you go back and look at it, if you're going to go like with one quarterback and a quarterback and one wide receiver, you want it to be a heavy rushing quarterback and a heavy rushing team, and that's exactly what the Cleveland Browns are. At least you didn't do it with like a Matthew Stafford, where it's like I got Van Jefferson and Matthew Stafford because
that's the thing. But like this team, like I had Debo, I had Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. Garoppolo gets sniped. I could have grabbed I literally could have grabbed Purdy, Garoppolo, Sam Howell, Kenny Pickett, any of those guys. If one of them would have fallen to me in the later rounds, and every single time it's like, okay, I have picked 180. His ADP is 191, and then he goes 175 right before me. It's like I couldn't even wait on a dude and pick him 5 picks ahead ADP. He's going to go a full round and a half. And it happened to every quarterback. It happened to Brandon Cooks. I was going to build a Dallas bringback to my Detroit stuff. I wasn't able to get any Dallas players. They all got sniped. Gallup, Cooks, Ferguson, all of them got sniped right before I could take them. Like the one or two guys right before me always took those guys.
I hope that wins the most.
Yeah, can I bring Donnie into this? Let's give Gov his flowers, Donnie. Are you ready? If that lineup wins Gov the most money, he will be transparent.
That's 100%. I'll say. Like I'm trying to think. Does it have everything you need? Yeah. Like it has a stack. It's correlated on week 17. There's like the running backs aren't bad. Like the running backs on the team, it's like Mixon, Montgomery, Eli Mitchell, Tyler Algier, and Kendre Miller. It's like there's another running back I'm missing because there were 6 and that was only 5. So there's another running back I'm missing, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
But Donnie can attest to this as well. It's like we're all learning. I wanted to try podcasting for so many years. I thought like I can have interesting conversations with people because I'm interesting. The way I phrase things comes from a place of love and compassion and interest, but I phrase it very different. And so like, I don't know if I know how to grow an audience, but once that audience comes and they come naturally, I can hold them in, and Donnie, he's learning about sports and like the media industry. And so like, it was a perfect time for him to have some experimentation. And like, Gov, what I like about you is like, you always downplay your game theory and like your structure. So like, I was just going to bring Donnie in to say this. The reason I love this is because we can give you your flowers. You can hate this team now. If this is your best team, you will come on. You will listen back to this podcast. And
I will show you guys week 15, and we will be rooting for this in the playoffs.
But you will give me the good and the bad. You'll be like, hey, I thought this. I still felt like that. And that's
I feel like I got sniped all over this place, and I don't know how I salvaged. But like again,
because Jimmy Garoppolo goes off against your team in the championship.
Well, that's the thing. If Jimmy Garoppolo goes off, how is he going off? I have Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers.
Hey, it might be the one.
So if Jimmy Garoppolo goes off, it's not from rushing touchdowns.
It could be the one.
If Jimmy Garoppolo goes off from rushing touchdowns, we have a problem. We have a serious problem in the NFL. We need to adjust the rules. This running quarterback shit needs to go.
Brady taught him a mean quarterback sneak.
If he's going to start doing the Rodgers discount double check, he's going to get so many rushing touchdowns.
But I know you meant seriousness and in your funny nature and to have fun with it, Donnie. But that's why we watch sports, right? That's why we watch live content, because we don't know what's going to happen. It's a theater.
Right.
Like, that is part of the fun. But I will say, like, I don't give a damn. It's also part of the fun that, like, when we're wrong, I can be like, damn it, we had the right theory. Like, we played Hall the other day, in a preseason game, and I love this example because no one knows who
The Vikings
Hall,
quarterback call, yeah.
yeah, or Cunningham is. So it's like I can make this point and it totally be theory based.
We
Hall,
also played Douglas from the Patriots, wide receiver.
exactly, and he
How
was the
was
right
that?
play. He was the right play given as much hype as he was getting, as many snaps as he played, and the ownership. Like it was the right play. And like that's the same thing about Cunningham and Hall is they had a very similar outlook, very similar playing style and playing time. We just chose the wrong one. And so like if Gov gets 3 rushing touchdowns from Jimmy Garoppolo, he knows he's lucky, but he would still take it. You know, maybe Lamar Jackson doesn't get any rushing touchdowns that day, and that's unlucky, and that guy would suffer. So somebody suffers, somebody's victorious. That is the fun of it. And like, I'm okay eating crow sometimes because I've always said crow tastes good because crow makes me appreciate the chicken. It makes me appreciate the other birds and in the nature of what I'm doing. Like, that's just the truth for me. Donnie, why are you still excited to build lineups if Gov is ready to pull away? Because I'm kind of the opposite of Gov, so I kind of want to see if there's a balance with you. Like, what advice would you give people? I guess, like, how do you get ready for week 1 today?
Well, I only plan on building you can. I only build lineups with you guys. I don't really put that process in usually without.
Yeah. So, like, what makes it fun for you to build a lineup then?
The discussion around it. I like, there's 3 different people putting in 3 different theories and we're putting it all together. And then afterwards, sometimes me and you will build a lineup in private where I have most of the say.
Okay, so what?
I mean, Logan, to be fair, that's sort of what I enjoy. Like I cannot wait to have like Friday, Saturday, like a Friday night podcast with you guys, the Saturday night talks we have with everyone in our Discord. Like I can't wait for that stuff, but I need to mentally prepare for it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Now, see, I'm weird, Gov, because I'm the opposite. I have the same admiration you do. Like, I can't wait for it. I almost wish we could get Donnie into those live chats because I know we would love them. And like we do gimmicks and like we'll do like, at the end of the night we'll do like, hey guys, good luck. We'll toast, we'll cheers, we'll be truly happy if someone wins. And like, watching a live sweats with, those guys is great. But like, you're saying like you need that reset. For me, it's like, I want to play all the golf I can, like all the golf lineups, all the golf bets, because once football starts, I won't want to touch any other sport. Like I won't want to even look at it. So like for me, it's like, I'm almost flexing a muscle. I'm still keeping that DraftKings muscle trained, but I'm doing it in a different discipline. So then when it comes to my favorite discipline, which is the NFL, it's like I can still port over a lot of those same theories and like it's familiar to me, but I'm ready to go. Like I haven't built any lineups outside of our podcast since they came out. Like I'm not opposed to doing it, but like it has to mean something. So
See,
like,
and I'm the same as you. It's like, and like I'm not like taking like a full quit. Like I said, like it's more like I've been running in 5th gear all year doing shows for NBA, also doing NBA, MLB every day, trying to do hockey to start of the year. Like I've been like multiple sports. So like I'm just sort of like throttling down before I hit the gas again here in football season.
You have a turn coming up. So you're just hitting the brakes for a second.
I'm not even hitting the brakes. You hit the brakes, you're going to kill someone in NASCAR. I got a left turn. I'm just taking my foot off the gas for half a sec.
Yeah.
Let the car slow down that way. That's all I'm doing. I'm not even really hitting the brakes. All I'm doing is just taking my foot off the gas for like 2 weeks. Still moving, still playing. Like right. I have a baseball lineup tonight. I'm sweating. St. Louis is scoring the right runs that needs to happen, but I did not get the pitch. I faded freaking Kikuchi in his pitching duel with Zach Wheeler, even though I knew Wheeler looked good in that same matchup. So I didn't get great pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God! And here's the cheap guy from the late game in the actual pitching stool starting to put up strikeouts. So it's like pitching didn't go well, but like I'm sweating a lineup that's looking okay as long as like my bats are doing well here.
Yeah, and like that's the cool thing is like maybe I wouldn't have become a golf fan in full transparency if I wasn't on DK looking at NFL lineups. Or maybe Gov doesn't play baseball nearly as much or care about the sport of baseball or, any of that if he doesn't at least have some bankroll management on DraftKings. Like that's part of that. So, but I find all that fun, and that's part of the process. Because like the NFL is only 17 weeks, that's also part of it. Like some of the reasons we're excited is because we know this is like one of the shortest, biggest sports. Like it's not golf basically has no off season, for example.
Yeah, it's also just a good time to remind yourself, like week 1, that's when generally the population is going to probably have about the most bets around besides like Super Bowl time.
Everyone's
you got a whole
getting back
season.
in, yeah.
You have a whole season to look forward to. Spread it out, relax, don't bet too much.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's the key here.
On the fly, let's do this on the fly just for fun, just to show that like we can like have some fun. We can let loose, but not take it too serious. If I said on the fly, you guys had to have a pillar for a lineup, knowing what we know, week 1's already or week 1 of the preseason. Like, if we were to build a lineup to end the show tonight, like what would be some of the things that you'd want to do based on what you know, what you think you know, and some of that? Like any place you'd want to start?
Yeah. I mean, my pillar would be like just attack the backup running backs with the Kamara suspension. Maybe Taylor doesn't play, maybe he does. Things like that. Just look at those situations and attack the backups.
So play like Jameson Williams. Got it? Gov, what about you? Just an ideal lineup, and then we'll
Trying to think. It's week 1, so like
Yeah.
I want to give a good nugget. And my initial thought, honestly, week 1,
Yep.
especially if you're doing it in a DFS style, the way we've talked about, where you're focusing on ownership, you're focusing on what you think the field's going to do, and trying to zig and zag in the right spots. I do think you don't have to do that as much week 1. Like it's sort of contrary. It's like we're in week 1. We don't have a lot of information on the year on all the teams, so you shouldn't trust the projections around the industry.
Yeah.
But it's also week 1. Teams are going to come out with their sort of vanilla-ish stuff to start the year as they coast into themselves. You kind of know, every team's going to try to go and do their main thing week 1. So you can sort of focus on the right dudes.
So
Like,
give me.
So
the right
my pillar would be like top. We're playing one of the top 2 chalkiest guys. Like when I get ownership projections, that would be my pillar. It'd be like I'll find the top 2. I'd be like, I want to play at least one of the top 2 highest owned guys, as opposed to making sure we fade one, if not both of them.
Yeah. See, I was thinking kind of similar. Like the chalk in week 1 to me doesn't really.
And because there's so many guys, everything's going to be spread out and flatter.
Yeah. I'm not scared of chalk week 1.
So I'm going to hold you.
Week 1 chalk, I'm in. We can play week 1 chalk.
That was the point I was going to make.
Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to get to. That's right. My pillar would be play week 1 chalk.
So you want to play the best vanilla there is in the country. Who is that guy?
Now it's flipped. Like we thought earlier in the season, it was going to be like Deion Jackson. Now, is Vegas on the slate?
I believe so. Adams?
No, Zamir White. That's going to be the chalk of all chalk. If he's on the slate, Jacobs won't be playing week 1.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of play. That's the same exact kind of thing. But I thought you meant chalk. Like I wouldn't even be scared of wide receiver chalk.
No, yeah, whoever the top 2 chalkiest guys would be, I wouldn't mind saying let's just put them in and see if we can build a lineup we like around that.
Maybe
But
Dude,
like maybe like Zamir White. Like I'm trying to think who would be the next chalky. Like in week 1, I'm thinking the big games people are going to do are like Carolina Atlanta is probably going to be a big game in a dome. Houston Baltimore is probably going to be a game people are going to target.
So my pillar would be.
I like that Tampa Bay Minnesota game, but I think the Chargers game is the one. So like if you wanted to go chalk, it's probably going to be something like Eckler, Zamir White.
If Burrow plays, I'm sure Cleveland, Cincinnati's going to have a lot of chalk too.
Agreed. Like again, I don't know what the main chalky game, but I know from the totals and the ones that are in domes that it's probably going to be Cincinnati, Cleveland. It's probably going to be Chargers and who are they? Dolphins. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck it up to Tyreek. It's week 1, baby. That's what
I wouldn't mind putting fucking Tyreek in there. Yeah.
We might do that, but here's my pillar, and then we'll start to build it out from there. My pillar is, and Gov will know this for a long time, I think PMR matters. I think it goes.
I was about to say, I was just looking at those late afternoon games. I'm like, all right, where are we going?
Right. It goes underutilized. Late afternoon games, they'll always go underutilized. I promise you. But in week 1, especially, everyone's going to want to. 1 o'clock rolls around Eastern time for me, Central for some of these guys. We're going to all want to see points, And so for me, it's like I want to play somebody in a 4 o'clock game.
We can play the chalky game. Just pick a Miami Charger.
We have a Raider in White. I want to get somebody just obvious. It makes sense. Sutton has a slight banged up monitoring issue. They already lost Tim Patrick. I'm plugging in the guy we saw in week 1 score a touchdown in preseason from Russell Wilson.
They did not look like they had much chemistry going, though. They
didn't, but he caught the touchdown.
I think there's trust there. I just don't think there's a bunch of chemistry yet.
Yeah, it might take some time, but like I don't mind that. Like there you go. So White Judy, that's a good start.
White Judy, Jamal Williams.
Well, see, if we're playing White, I would take Williams out, but
that's why I didn't let us build the lineup first. I wanted to go off just our initial thoughts. So where do we go next?
Well, White plays the same type of play that I was trying to make.
That's why.
Yeah, White's just probably going to be the chalkier one because, like, they won't be Kamara, so Williams, like, those probably will be 2 of the chalkier running backs, to be honest.
But even we don't have to play this lineup, but this is a good theory idea. This shows the people what we're thinking, after preseason week 1. Anything else you guys want to do? Anything we need to do here?
Like we have two cheap running backs. I love that. Let's correlate the other one. Like if we're gonna have a mini stack with White and Judy, anyone don't think New Orleans defense couldn't destroy Tennessee? Let's just put the New England defense in there, or the New Orleans defense in there.
I don't love that personally, but
like New Orleans at home, Tennessee probably starting either Tannehill or I was about to say I hope they're starting Tannehill and not error has occurred. Sorry,
Willis.
Yeah,
Will Levis.
Levis is still 3 on the depth chart.
Levis, Willis, that doesn't matter. But like I would say, like
Will got the playing time in the preseason over Willis. So
right now we're basically at what game do we like the most? We could just stack that game.
I mean, it is September. This is what works. Would we not just attack Tyreek Hill and get a Tyreek Hill thing going? Personally,
just do that.
Like that's where I would go with this.
Again, we're different with the Saints defense. I don't think everyone who has White is going to have a Denver on the other side. So I like that little correlation to get us different. We can play Tua and Tyreek.
Hey, I'm getting old, but I do remember one thing about week 1 last year. Lamar Jackson and Tyreek Hill, as much as I hate to admit it, put on a show.
Tyreek Hill always has good week 1s. I'm not joking. I just distinctly remember that.
No, he does. He usually does. That's why I'm perfectly fine. Let's do Tua Tyreek right in now and see where we're at.
I'm good with that. But I want to mention I didn't look this up. I don't know, but didn't they both score like 40 points combined? Those two teams. It was something crazy. I don't know why I missed my key there, but yeah, and then they got hurt after that. But and let's be honest, to add some theory here, you want to play Miami and these like West Coast teams before the heat of the summer hits for football. Like there is some truth to that. Like it is better to play them early in the year, and we're getting a Los Angeles and Miami team, two hot weather teams.
Listen, I got another stack I kind of like, mini stack, in the Tampa Bay game. If you go cheap Tampa Bay running back,
White.
whichever one you like, probably White.
He looked really good in preseason.
And then you just go ahead and throw Justin Jefferson in and see what. No, we're not going to be able to do that. Dang it. I didn't know how. But if you could get Tyreek and Justin Jefferson in the lineup, I think.
I just want to show the people what it would do. Like
you don't have quite enough. You would need 2,500 minimum for the tight end. You don't have quite enough. You'd have to get rid of someone.
Yeah, if you punt defense.
You could punt defense. You could turn Judy into like a different. Maybe go to the maybe instead of Judy, do like Marvin Mims and say they get the quick thing.
Even better. You just
what
go
if we do that?
And yeah, you just go Hawk, and then I like that more.
Now you have 3,800 for your last wide receiver. That's at least doable. Yeah.
I like Mingo here. You guys know I like Pierce. We talked about that last week.
Mechie.
John Mechie's there. Although if we went Mechie, if we went Mechie, I'd want to get a Baltimore guy in there. But I keep saying it. Baltimore switched their entire offense, offensive coordinator, offensive theory, tons of new wide receivers. Their quarterback's coming off an injury. Like, you can love it, hate it, feel indifferent about Lamar Jackson's throwing, and maybe that's good, bad. Jameis Winston style, great for fantasy. Who the hell knows? There's a lot of changes in the atmosphere there. So, and week one is the type of week you would want to attack that. Because once people see the new offense, whether it's good or bad, people are going to react.
I'd argue it takes about half a season to really be able to sit there and see what an offense is doing and adjust to it as a defense.
Yeah, but that's the fun part, though, Donnie, is people are going to make overreactions on daily fantasy. Because I think it's because it's in the goddamn name. It's because it's called daily fantasy. People are going to make daily or even up to the minute, rationalizations.
Agreed, 100% on that.
I love one of Gov's guys. I love the rookie Mingo here.
I was gonna say a Carolina guy wouldn't be bad there. I like that Carolina. Like that Carolina Atlanta game is going to be sneaky. If Bryce Young is halfway decent in the Atlanta Dome, like that's gonna be a sneaky game between two Met teams.
Hey, listen, I will say that's a tough matchup. I know he's probably used to it at this point, but he's playing in Georgia, and that's going to be a tough crowd against him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Bryce Young's first game in the Mercedes-Benz Georgia Dome, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys put value into that, but I think that's something to think about. I think he's an adult and he can handle that pressure, but it's not easy.
Yeah, no, and here's an idea, right? I want to, because this is a good exercise. So I'm going to float something that'll make you both uncomfortable. Ready? And then I'm not going to say anything else about the lineup, but you have to stick with these two things. And then I want you guys to build the lineup. Ready?
The dual tight end, always something Logan goes for. It's a sneaky strategy for sure.
Week one,
it just doesn't hit. It maybe hits once a year, if that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not.
But God, I'm making you build a lineup with it now. What do you do now?
If we're going dual tight end,
I switch the tight end so that my afternoon guy's in the flex.
you can't. That's the whole thing.
No, yeah, they're both tight ends. You can put Mayer in the flex and Hawkinson at tight end.
Oh.
He just told me to. I'll change that.
That's
but,
just like lineup building strategy. Like
Right.
put
I'm glad
PMR in the flex, but like yeah.
I'm glad I made a mistake just so you could bring up that thing.
I don't understand
First
that at
thing,
all.
that's
I literally do not understand that at all. That makes it
What?
the whole point is that something that I don't take advantage of, but I do keep that in mind in my lineups is late swap. So like you could, in theory, flip that, and then if you wanted to switch Meyer before the 4 o'clock game starts to a different time, maybe you go switch him to Durham Smythe from Miami or something, or Noah Fant from Seattle, or something like that. You could indeed switch him if you think like, well, most of the people at the top have the same tight end, so they probably are all playing whatever. Or maybe you realize like Meyer's not going to be that well owned, and that won't happen. So like you might not have to switch anything, but like that's the reason you do it, so that you have more flexibility late. Whereas, and it makes it so that like Meyer was what, 3,800 or 2,800?
Yeah.
So like if you left salary on the table and he's in your flex, you don't have to do a tight end. You could do like Jordan Palmer, the third wide receiver from a team. Like if he's in your flex. That's why you want to make sure to have your late players in your flex, so you have the most flexibility if you're going to late swap.
Correct.
That's basically the rational way of saying it. I don't late swap as much. I tend to like try to build a good lineup that is already contrarian, and I don't need to late swap. Now, late swapping could help me more where like, let's say I have a lineup that's right on the edge. Maybe I should just swap to the guys that everyone else is playing. That way I can just creep in because I don't have a shot at the top. Or vice versa. Maybe I have one that is right on the edge, and it is looking like it's going to come in kind of chalky. And it's like, well, I need to take a real shot. So let me just try this dude who no one's playing. And if he goes off, I go ahead of everyone.
And Donnie, that's what you said you love about building these lineups. Like you guys didn't want to build this lineup, but if I didn't make that silly mistake and force these parameters on you, who knows if we would have got that discussion. And you're right. Because like if you're in 15th place and you want to get to first place, that strategy in the late afternoon is different than it would be if you're in first place trying to hold off all those people. In that case, you want to go as chalky as you can, in some cases.
And like now looking at it, it's like I want to make this lineup as strong as possible. So first things first of the choices, I'm probably plugging in Kirk Cousins.
No. See, I disagree with that completely.
Like if you're giving me those two guys, that gives me 4 quarterbacks that I could stack these guys around effectively. I don't want to stack Vegas, so I don't want to like add another guy and go Garoppolo. I could do Russ and add in a Denver guy, and then you have that little mini stack going. You could do Baker and add a Tampa guy and have Hawk on the other side. I think I'd rather just go Cousins, Jefferson, and see what the fuck I can do.
I'd heavy stack Baker here. I'm going.
Okay.
I think we both agree we would do the Tampa Bay Minnesota game. That would be how we fill out this lineup.
You do realize Minnesota was the worst defense last year.
I do also realize that never follows suit next year. The worst defense is never the worst defense next year.
They're not going to get much better defensively.
Even if they don't get much better, someone's going to get way worse that you don't understand. And like if they go from 31 to 21 or 23, that's going to mean enough where a guy like Baker, who could be the worst quarterback that starts legitimately, the rookies could be better than him. Tannehill has had better seasons than Baker. Like, he legitimately could be the worst starting quarterback in the league. That's the thing.
To Mike Evans, which is going to be thrown.
And Baker's going to throw a lot of jump balls, probably to Russell Gage. And that's where problems are going to come.
I told you I'm not making any more selections.
No, I know. Like, so either way, I think we
I'd
want
rather
Evans in this
bigger
lineup.
stars. Yeah, I want Evans in here.
Either way,
Yeah.
we want Evans in this lineup. I agree with that. I'm Hawk Evans. Cool.
Can I make one more rule? Because I'm not picking, so you guys basically could break the ties on any other position. I'm going to say that you guys have to agree at least somewhat on quarterback.
That's fair. I just
Well, I mean, how much is somewhat? We both agree it should come from the Tampa Bay Minnesota game. We just don't agree which one. Let's build out the lineup and see. Like they're in two different
See what-
stratospheres
see what
on
you want.
salary. So we'll
Yeah,
see what
exactly.
we need. If we need a cheap guy, we got to go Baker. If we need an expensive dude, if we can pay a little more, we might go Cousins.
Sure.
Here's the thing. After what we just talked about with Tyreek Hill, why would we not want to stick him in here?
Why not?
Like
You
it
tell
has.
me.
I have to see Tyreek or Waddle in this lineup. I feel like.
You
See, the
tell me.
Chargers are another defense that I think is going to be a little better, but like,
I would agree.
I'd settle for a Chase. I mean, I have to see someone that's just a over the top burner.
see, and my thought was just let's Giga Chad stack Minnesota and put Jefferson in here with Cousins, but. Like Hill,
if you wanna do
honestly,
that,
like week
we get
one,
Jefferson.
Hill Jefferson are probably the same, and you get to save $600. So like,
If
yeah, just
you
put
get
Tyreek in.
Jefferson, I give you Cousins. Like that. That's just how I'd be.
Yeah, no, that was my thought. Like, let's Giga Chad and do Jefferson Cousin, but like, I can do Hill.
Take Cousins out for now.
Yeah, you can take Cousins out. I know he's 63. Okay,
I just want to show people what it would look like.
all right. Which one of the two chalky running backs do you want to play?
Let's go with yours. Let's go to
Zamir.
Zamir, yeah. In Josh, we trust.
See, and now we've almost Giga Chad stacked that Vegas side, so it's
How
like,
comfortable are you? We know you pulled one, by the way. If you guys haven't went back and watched, we did open some packs in the last stream. If you want to go back and watch. But how confident are you that White is going to be the starter week one? That they won't bring in a Kareem Hunt, that Josh Jacobs.
they're definitely not bringing in anyone.
Yeah, they're
The
not
only
bringing
way
anyone.
he doesn't start is if Josh Jacobs all of a sudden just shows up at Rager's facility and they play him. That's the only way he doesn't start. And even then, he's probably a clear backup. But like as of right now, with Jacobs holdout, White should be the number one for Vegas. Number one running back at 4,800. There, like it's just that's what it is.
Donnie, what's the % chance Jacobs plays week one?
I'm going as high as 80, to be honest.
Gov, you ready for the next question? Because this is important. Best ball, we drafted in a couple weeks. We did our in the beginning of the year and later in the year. We're going to do two of them. If the holdout situation is still ongoing, do you think Josh Jacobs potentially could be a great ADP value?
No. I personally don't think he's a good draft pick at all. I'm glad when a team gets him out of the way, it frees up guys for me to pick.
I agree.
Like I don't mind taking Zamir, but he's starting to creep up boards really high. Like he was one of those guys you can take 16th, 17th round. Now you might have to grab him at the 10-11 turn, along with the other, like the start of like the David Montgomerys and the Khalil Herberts and like the true like dual backfield or number two role guys.
I never planned on talking about the Raiders as much, and that's probably, to Donnie's point, why he likes building lineups, because it gets us on interesting conversations. See, I would play Michael Myers more because I just think it affects Josh Jacobs' holdout, and then we see Adams gets hurt. Mayer is under 3K and like could potentially be the guy, and like a position where it's a crapshoot anyways, especially this cheap. I would, even in best ball, I'd draft him. Like I just think he's a good investment.
And Garoppolo's always had a tight end that he throws to. Like he's always had a Gronk, he's always had a Kittle.
And let's face it.
But the problem is like he doesn't like give them huge market target shares. He's just always had a very good tight end on the teams he's had until right now.
Yeah, but I wonder if that safety
where his
blanket
number
in your
one
head
is a second round rookie. Like he might, because like that might be the style he's in. Maybe it depends on what Josh McDaniels like I'm
Yeah, we
pretty sure
really
they
don't
got Jacoby Myers to be his safety blanket.
Maybe
there,
you're right.
there are some people though, Gov, and I'm not one of them. I've
It
thought
might just
since-
end up being Renfro. Who knows?
Well, yeah, and then Renfro is considered tradable.
Okay.
A couple weeks from now.
Speaking
so
of
who knows?
which, I love Hunter Renfro. He is one of my favorite sleeper players in the league. I don't think he's gotten a real shot where he needs to. I would not play him in a lineup. I just love the guy.
I was about to say, yeah.
I just think he's very talented.
Yeah, hey, Gov's already malfunctioned enough already, man.
I was about, the third time might beat the charm if we end up doing that.
Right.
That being said, like we either need to get a Bronco in here, or we might just need to go with the Vegas defense and like say the tight end
Let's
gets
go
a red
Vegas
zone
defense. That O-line's
carry.
terrible.
Zamir White, they control the game. Denver's crap. They get a couple of rust picks.
Yeah, let's
We
get
punt-
this
We punt the
defense here.
defense. Giga Chad stack Vegas. Like now, let's see. So we need our quarterback, which is either going to be 63 or what was it, 5K for
I
Baker?
can't remember what Baker was.
I was literally on the screen, and then you scrolled up.
4-9.
49. Okay,
Listen.
doing the math in my head.
I don't
All
do
right,
math.
so yeah, so like just under 15K for two guys. 7,500 a piece would be a lot of money
sexy.
for a running back and a wide receiver. I
Absolutely.
don't know if you need that. Whereas
Get
if you,
jump.
if you go Cousins,
Get
then let's see. Then you still have.
See, Donnie's trying to persuade you here, Gov. He's saying, hey, give me Baker, I'll give you Chubb. You still have 6,600. That's what he's trying to convince you right now.
Yeah, but we could also go Cousins and have 52.
I agree.
So like let's just slide in that range. Go to wide receiver. Like you can leave Chubb.
Yep. Of course.
I was
we
going to say
can-
put Chubb, get off wide receiver, put Chubb back in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You're good. Then now go to wide receiver and just scroll down to that range. Okay, so 66. That
Here,
leaves us
Judy.
Judy, but we're already giga stacking the Las Vegas side, so not him. So then we're
DJ
at like
Moore.
Ridley, Olave.
Chris Olave, I like Olave. I like Terry McLaurin too.
There's a
think
lot of good plays here.
Can't quite get to Higgins, which would be the good play.
What do you think about Terry McLaurin though, with the new offensive coordinator in Arizona?
I got to see what Sam Howell's going to look like week one before I can do anything.
Yeah,
there.
I agree. I 100%
Like
agree.
they might do good. Scroll down a little more. I want to get to the.
What about Chris Godwin here?
No, we have Evans.
Yeah, and I don't want to like go Godwin and Evans. Like you could double stack Baker, I guess.
Like
I would
I'm
double
saying.
stack with his
Like
running back.
that's viable.
Hey, I'm not saying it's the right move. You just said you could double stack Cousins, so I just want to show people that it's possible.
Yeah, like Baker's not. Baker gets Baker. How do I say this? I would not be as surprised with Baker getting a rushing touchdown than I would be with Cousins.
I really like DJ Moore. I feel like that's going to be. That has potential to be one of those crazy like performances.
Scroll down a little bit more.
Yep.
Burks.
See, we could do the same thing and go Cousins over Baker and then just play Jordan Addison. Or even Treylon Burks.
Listen. I'm being serious when I say this.
Oh, what about
probably shouldn't.
Pickens? Pickens has looked like a beast.
Donnie,
If
I
we play
know.
Pickens, I want to play Pickett. Is that
Donnie,
crazy?
I know you're
No,
taking.
but we can't really get to that. But like that would be though, like we could go Godwin here and leave a little money on the table, like $200. We could go instead of Baker, go to Cousins, and then we could just play Jordan Addison, and then we have the same double stack of Cousins with the Evans bring back. So like both of those would work.
And
Like I wouldn't go down too much more at this point, but like yeah, like you could play any of these receivers with Cousins in this lineup, and it would work.
Donnie, let the people find your take on Addison.
Where's
'cause
Tyler Boyd actually?
Tyler Boyd? That's a good question. But Donnie did have a take on Addison a couple podcasts ago. Let people find that, Donnie, because it was impassionate. I would recommend that if we did win
41.
money
So
off
that
of
was
him,
just money.
I would donate to a dog charity with some of our profit.
I can't play. I this is me personally, and if you guys agree and you completely overrule me, I have to suck it up. But in this type of lineup where it's just
Yeah.
go.
I'm just saying if you do get rolled out this year, trust me, he has that Deshaun Watson like.
I have to see him have one big game first in order to even consider playing him.
4,100 is a good price on Boyd, though.
I'm sorry, 4,100 is a great price on Boyd, and that would convince me get Boyd in, get Cousins, and let's pay up somewhere else.
Yeah, see where we're at. Then maybe it's like, well, we don't need the Raiders defense at that point. But yeah,
I
actually still don't mind the Raiders defense.
It's funny that I kind of brought it up as a theory standpoint. If we do get a Simeon or one of these backups, they do tend to target the second wide receiver more than the first one. So Boyd would be more appealing in that strategy as well.
Well, Boyd is wide receiver 3.
yeah, like I know I wouldn't, and like on a team like with Chase and Higgins, you bench Trevor Siemian if he starts throwing it to Tyler Boyd with Chase and Higgins on the field. Like you're like, dude, I don't care who you've been throwing to in practice. You throw it to Chase and Higgins, or we'll play frickin' whatever.
I understand if you take Boyd over Higgins, but you have to go to Chase.
I think Boyd's better than Higgins long term.
Long term, Boyd's old already.
I was about to say, Boyd won't be in the league in probably 3 years.
I know.
With how wide receivers are going. Higgins still can have a good career.
Yeah, but I think Boyd has the better hands. I think he could have an Anquan.
He has better hands for sure, but
yeah. So I'm saying that even though he is older, I think he could have like that renaissance. He just sticks around forever. That's what I mean.
All right, so if you went Cousins, then we'd have 1,100.
Put Cousins in there.
I was making you say it, Donnie.
Yeah, then you have 1,100. We can go up from anyone. We could
we could go up from Chubb and get CMC in there.
Yeah.
You could take out White even.
You could go Hill to Jefferson. You could go Raiders defense up to fucking anyone.
I think the Hill.
I would take a White here and try and move up from that, but
okay, so do that.
See, I never hate putting. I never like putting a lot of money into running back, and since we already have Chubb, I liked the cheap guy.
Okay, we could keep the cheap guy and then just go all out and go CMC then.
Yeah, like I would be okay doing that because we don't have although now we've got Boyd correlated with Chubb, so that's the problem is now the one uncorrelated thing is Tyreek. So maybe we go up instead of going up. I was about to say maybe instead of McCaffrey we go Eckler.
I don't mind that.
You put in Eckler and then you got to take out Chubb.
Yep. I figured. I'm just making you guys make the choices.
Listen.
Now we're in the sort of the same range, but
I think it's White.
We're in the exact same range.
Yeah, I don't want to do White because I'm not stupid giga stacking that game. So I think it's probably
if Miles Sanders plays, it's him. That's the thing.
Now a game I would still giga stack. I could see going Mostert.
It's funny we do these lineups. I didn't know Elliott signed with the Patriots.
I made a whole big post about it on our Discord with Zeke eating the cereal.
Hey man, I'm more offline on my days off than I am.
Actually, I want to see this. What is Dalvin Cook's price? Since he signed with the Jets, he should be priced.
Sure.
Right?
I think
he signed with the Jets literally an hour after.
I don't
think the Jets are on the slate.
Oh, they're not? Okay.
No, I think they play Monday night.
I was almost sure of it, but I didn't want to
burst my bubble. It's fine.
No, we'll get to play him a captain in Showdown.
You're the captain master. I can't.
You're the captain now, Tom.
I'm terrible at showdowns.
Okay, what about Antonio?
No. I'm not playing the backup.
Fair enough.
Trying to find guys who are at least going to be like
Okay, Rob,
Williams would work. Like we could do Robinson. We could go back to Jamal
I would
Williams
go
here.
Jamal Williams here.
Although like not a great matchup, but like yeah, Jamal Williams is probably the one, and then you're only leaving a couple hundred on the table. That's not bad.
Since I am here, let me just hit on this. Week 1, Spears looked really good for Tennessee. He looked like a premium handcuff. So people talk about best ball, late round picks. Coach talked about it. Spears might be a guy, especially if you think Henry's gonna fall off a bit if this is finally the year. And by the way, we touted it with our last round pick. Joshua Kelly did get primarily all of the second team snaps in preseason week 1. So we were right about Austin Eckler's handcuff. Okay, sorry. What did you guys decide?
Jamal Williams.
Yeah, I was about to say put Jamal in. Yeah.
Jamal Williams. All right, so there you go. That would be the idea.
Like you were literally on him. No, that's Javante.
It doesn't matter. The
Right,
theory but I don't know. Old habits die hard, Gov. Maybe I won't trust my fingers so much to type, but that's how I've always done it. I don't know. It's just a
Can't
weird
teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, I'm trying, man, because I do have that go. No, I swear to you, this is true. I do have that Gov voice in my head. You were right there, man. Like I hear that every time.
You didn't have to do anything. You scrolled up and deleted stuff.
right
It's like
on it.
you literally we are looking at the guy on the screen, and then you scroll up and start typing his name. It's like you didn't have to do anything.
I'm 100%.
Like you did 100 times more than you had to.
Dude, I'm telling you, I swear to you, I'm gonna PayPal Gov pretty soon for our rainmakers. I literally have this in my head every day when I make these type of mistakes. Go think you didn't have to do that. You could have made it so much easier for yourself.
I don't say anything because if I got myself in trouble already for saying stuff to my parents about this. It's the
Hey,
same thing my
I'm
parents do.
usually the guy that wants to work more efficiently than harder, but for some reason, that's just one DK hardship that I have to break. Maybe this year will be the year. It'll finally sink in. It was a fun kind of theory breakdown, though.
We are at an hour and a half.
We are. I was just gonna say I'm about done. I don't know if these guys got anything else. There was one topic that we need to hit on. I didn't forget it on purpose. I need to really do a deep dive and figure out what the hell's going on. So next podcast, I promise you, the first 10 minutes, we will talk about what the hell is going on with James Harden, because I'm starting to wonder if it's mental health related. But that's too long of a topic for now.
Oh yeah, we'd be on that for way too long.
I truly want to let it marinate and figure out what's going on, where the truth lies. So I just felt like that was a conversation that we needed to kind of do an investigative report on, and to speak on it at this point would be immature in my opinion. So it's not that I was avoiding it on purpose for illegitimate reasons, but that's why. Anything else?
That's it.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Take care. Good night.
Peace out.